Meeting law, GLC 30A, Section 20, the public will not be allowed to physically access the school committee meeting. This meeting will be conducted remotely via Zoom technology. For instructions to follow this meeting live, see the notice of the meeting posted on the whittiertech.org. Orders called. So this is the July 8th, 2020 Whittier Regional Vocational Technical High School School Committee meeting. We'll do a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Public comment. Comments can be emailed in advance of the 6:30 start time to Lisa Rand. All comments will be recorded to the record, and all attempts will be made to mention them live during the meeting. Any emails received during the meeting before the public comment period ends will also be attempted to be mentioned. Is there any public comment? None being heard, let's move ahead. Approval of minutes of the June 10th regular school committee meeting. Do we have a motion?
Move to accept.
So moved.
We have to do a roll call. I actually have to do roll call attendance too, so.
Hey, Chris.
How you
Mr.
doing?
Gurley,
Yes.
Mr. Wood? No. Ms. O'Connor?
Here.
Mr. LaBella?
Yes.
Mr. Tucker? No. Mr. Irving?
Yes.
Dr. Testaverde?
Yes.
Mr. O'Connor? No. Mr. James?
Yes.
Mr. Fitzgerald?
Yes.
Mrs. True?
Yes.
Mr. Fitzgerald? No. Mr. Lesage?
Yes.
And I am present. All right, now we're going to do the same thing for the vote on the meeting. Mr. Early?
Aye.
Mr. Wood? No. Ms. O'Connor?
Yes.
Mr. LaBella?
Yes.
Mr. Irving?
Aye.
Dr. Testaverde?
Yes.
Mr. James?
Yes.
Mr. Fitzgerald?
Yes.
Ms. True?
Yes.
Mr. Lesage?
Yes.
Okay, moving on. We need a motion for the June 10th minutes of the executive session.
So moved. Second.
Roll call vote, Mr. Early,
Yes.
Ms. O'Connor,
Yes.
Mr. LaBella,
Yes.
Mr. Irving,
Aye.
Dr. Testaverde,
Yes.
Mr. James,
Yes.
Mr. Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Mrs. True,
Yes.
Mr. Lesage.
Abstain.
Okay, old business. There is no old business posted. There is no student representative report at this time. So we'll move on to the superintendent's report. Ms. Lynch.
Good evening. Before you tonight, for informational purposes, I have the remote curriculum planning in PD, and that's out of Title 2A and Title 4. I also have hires for our summer MCAS enrichment virtual program, which I'm happy to say we have about 100 students enrolled at this
Oh,
point.
wow. Good.
Also, the summer school attendance school for two instructors, our online academic summer school, and hires for the next school year. I also have resignations of 2 employees, one for the purposes of retirement and one is moving to an administrative position. And then, excuse me, I'm trying to multitask on my computers here. My report, as of this point, we do have a budget. We have 8 communities, Kara, correct? that have approved our budget for next year. We still do not know what our Chapter 70 funds are. And what we're hearing is there's a very good chance we're not going to know what our Chapter 70 funds are until the end of September.
Oh.
What?
Yeah.
How are we supposed to do business?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Joanne. What?
I said, how are we supposed to do business if they don't tell us what we have to spend?
1/12 of last year.
We're being very careful. We're being very careful, and we were very proactive at the end of the year. So that is definitely going to help our situation moving forward. An MCAS update, the science MCAS has been canceled for grades 10, 11, and 12 during the 2021 school year. Grade 9 will take it in the spring of 2021. Grade 11 will take the MCAS they missed sometime this fall. And as of now, grade 10 will take the MCAS in the spring of 2021. This is all subject to change, just like everything else. As most of you know, DESE's guidance about school reopening came out a couple of weeks ago. We've been reviewing the guidance and have been working on scheduling and how our return to school will look like in the fall. What we have done so far, there are 3 task forces with administrators and teachers working on facilities, remote learning plan, and student well-being. We currently have about 60 teachers meeting twice a week until the end of July. At this time, they'll bring forward recommendations for next school year. We have set up student and staff schedules. During our students' academic week, students will have English, math, science, and social studies for 2 periods every day. They will sit in the same seat and their teachers will move from class to class. Every teacher's desk will have a plexiglass barrier so teachers and students can meet quietly in a classroom. Each classroom will be set up with hand sanitizer on the wall. At this time, we have about 20 to 22 desks in every classroom, at least 3.5 feet apart. We are continuing to try to bring back our RIFT teachers as positions open up and our needs become more apparent. We're also setting up an email system for parents and guardians to reach out to our school regarding questions on how we're going to open up safely for next school year. Over the past week, teachers have provided online training to other teachers and administrators utilizing Google Docs and Google Slides within Google Classroom, a Google Classroom for Beginners, video lessons and creations on the iPad and Mac, Google Classroom 101, assigning quizzes in Google Classroom. I attended all 4 sessions and we're so lucky to have such motivated professional educators. There was about 20 to 30 educators on each one of those PD online programs this week.
Wow.
There's also a summer book club with about 20 teachers and myself reading Unconscious Bias in Schools, a developmental approach to exploring race and racism. I want to thank our school psychologist, Carolyn Romero, for taking the lead in this endeavor. I know we all want our students to attend Whittier Tech in a way where race and ethnicity is celebrated and not discriminated against. As we move forward with the rest of the summer and planning for 3 different modes of learning, remote, a hybrid model, and in-person, a fully in-person plan, each plan has some significant issues. I know the state would like us to have in-person learning for all of our students for the beginning of the school year. I have concerns about how we move from 0 to 1,500 people into our building all at once. It might make more sense to have a phased-in approach using the hybrid model to begin the year and move all persons in instruction later in September. If we did a hybrid approach, students would receive 2 days of in-person instruction and 3 days of remote instruction. The schedule would be Monday, remote for all students, but all teachers would be in school, and then Tuesday, Thursday, what we would categorize as A students, and Wednesday and Thursday for B students. This seems to me to be the safest way to bring everyone back, not knowing how we're going to transport our students while staying socially distant. The ability to wear masks if the temperature is over 70 degrees outside is another concern. There are many days in September where it is extremely hot, and we will be able to wear masks all day if there is no air conditioning. I feel like it's important to get a plan out there so our families can start planning and asking questions, and we'll be able to answer as quickly as possible. But I've sat in many, many meetings, and it just seems really, I don't know how I can bring 1,500 people back into the building from 0 to 100 to 1,500, and change it from 3 feet to 6, from 6 feet to 3 feet as we move forward. But the eventual goal would be to have everyone return to the building by the end of September. But then we have lots of glitches that I would like to work out with half of our students instead of all of our students. So any comments or thoughts?
Wow.
Ms. True?
Hi, yeah, I just had a question. Do we have a, I'm sorry, I just don't remember. Do we have a solid number on the number of freshmen? Like, is it, have we set that now, or is that number still moving?
No, we have a solid number. We have, I think it's 340 freshmen. I don't have the exact number, but yes,
Okay,
yes, we have a
that's
very large class.
huge.
Yeah.
Okay.
What
Thought
about,
Excuse
go
me.
ahead.
I thought our capacity was 350, but are we going to try to fill those other 10 slots, or are we going to leave them due to all of the confusion?
Yeah, you know what? I apologize. I don't have a solid number. I'm kind of guesstimating at 340. I do have concerns about having any more students in the building at this point as we kind of move forward, especially with freshmen, with how we're going to do the vocational piece of freshman exploratory program.
Right.
Mm.
I just was told we have 345 freshmen planned for next year.
Wow.
Thank you, Kevin.
But that doesn't mean they're all going to show up either.
Yeah, but you know, Mr. James, most of them do.
Yeah, most of them do.
What about the co-op that's canceled?
We're still in the process of trying to figure out co-op. I mean, there's going to have to be some, we're going to have to know that the employers are following all COVID-19 guidelines for safety of our students. So that's something that we're still working on. I mean, we would like to get our students out on co-op for sure.
I always ask, how's our daycare doing? I know we must have closed the daycare. Are we opening
Yes.
it in September?
I don't know.
Huh?
I don't know. I mean, that really, it's a behavioral Y decision. But as of right now, I think most daycares are shut down. So as things change.
Good, good.
Joanne?
I just had a quick question about the public. I mean, I assume that when we start in September, it's assumed that the public will not be coming in for anything, for any reason, for any of those shops that usually serve the public, and then we wait and see.
Well, I think it's just what I've been saying is a phased-in approach. We bring in half of the students, then we bring in all of the students, and hopefully we can bring in the public. But
That
you
sounds
know,
like
it really,
the last, like, not a priority. Correct?
well, I mean, it's great for our kids. It's a great learning tool.
Yeah.
I know.
you know,
That's why I'm asking,
so-
because I know it's important, but
Yeah. But I want to make sure that we, you know, have kind of crossed off and made things safe for everybody before we do that.
Good
Yep.
God. Lot of
So-
challenges.
Yeah, you know, I think we went full board trying to get everybody back, but the more we kind of went through the process and, you know, 1,500 people being in that building all at once is going to be really, really interesting. So if we do it by half for 2 weeks or a month, and then we bring everybody in, we've kind of worked out the kinks that maybe we have had to work through too, and it will just be a safer process. Well, we're also getting the practice of being remote, because there's a very good chance that you know, if you believe and listen to people, there's a very good chance that we could be all remote. So this would be a good kind of practice on learning how to use Google Classroom for our kids and setting up our freshmen and those kinds of things.
Wow. Wow.
So,
I just real quick, has there been any guidance, like health guidance, in terms of like teenagers versus young children? I haven't heard really anything about that. Like, in other words, are teenagers also considered children who don't tend to spread the coronavirus, or is that just, yes, they're
that's what they're being, that's
teen-
some of the initial guidance, is that they don't feel that, you know, high school and elementary school kids are the super spreaders that they were thought to be before. But I, you know, there's still so much to learn about this disease, and
I know.
you know, I also have staff I need to consider as well.
Maureen, have you had any questions from staff saying, I don't think it's safe for me, I'm diabetic, I'm whatever, and I don't think I want to come back?
I have not.
Oh, that's good.
I have not.
Interesting.
I think they're waiting to hear how we're going to open up,
Mhm.
and if they feel comfortable. You know, I have some teachers that really haven't been to a supermarket yet, that haven't, you know, really been out, and that's my concern, is that we go from 0 to 100, and people aren't ready for that just yet, and that includes our students. So.
It's true.
Do you think it helps maybe with the staff being so involved in these consultation groups that you have set up, that maybe that's why you're not having so many people, because because the teachers are directly involved in setting up the protocols?
Right. I would like to think so. I mean, at the end of the day, I think they know that, you know, the health and safety of our students and them is always our top priority. And I think there's a little bit of faith, hoping that we make the right decisions. So, you know, again, I've been in so many meetings, and, you know, I just feel like this is the safest way for us to move forward, to at least start the school year, with the hopes that by the end of September, we have everybody back in the building fully, but to start off kind of doing it in a phased in approach.
Wow.
Any
And
concerns
that-
about that?
I mean, vocational education is so different too from, say, a regular high school, that there's so many other things to consider.
Right. Right. You know, in some schools, I've heard other vocational schools that are doing remote for all the academics and in person for all the vocational.
Oh, wow.
But I think our kids need to see their teachers and develop relationships with our teachers in person.
I
And
agree.
both I think are important parts of our school.
Mm.
As far as the classroom sizes, Maureen, are you seeing that you're losing any seats in the classrooms due to the distancing?
So we've set up, I say we, because it really has been Bob Hardy and his team, have set up all the classrooms with 21, 22 seats in the classroom. They're all 3.5 feet apart. I think 4 feet from each other in front. So we're all set to go, and I want to keep how he has set up all the classrooms, in the hopes, again, that when we do come back, kids can just go to their seat that they've had for the last month. And that's sort of my thought. Let's keep that thought that we're going to have everybody back, but do every other seat for the month of September, and then hopefully return with everybody back towards the end of September.
Maureen, in regard to the seating, am I to understand that basically there'll be 10 kids or 11 kids in a classroom every other week until you then put the group all together, which would be 22, 23 kids in the class, and they have their own seats. So every other week they know where they sit? Is that basically?
Actually, Joanna, it would be every other day.
Oh, every other day.
Because we already have every other week for academic and
That's right.
vocational.
Yeah.
So it would be every other day being in the classroom. So, you know, some of the things we've been working on are making sure that all of our teachers are well versed in Google Classroom, that we're much more prepared to go remote. And it's important that remote isn't now, it is about new learning. It isn't about repeating previous learning. It is about new learning, and we need to have that expectation moving forward. So it is going to look much different than last spring. I think it's important that there's a lot of rigor in our programming, but that's something that we're all working on again over the summer.
Maureen, how many days ahead of everybody else do the freshmen come in?
Just one. So we were actually talking about that and maybe making that 2 days, or last year it was a half a day, maybe 1 day, half days for both sections of those kids. Those are things that we're still kind of thinking about and planning.
It's going to be real hard on the freshmen.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's going to be important for us to get their iPads in their hands quickly. I know, Kevin, we already have the iPads, but we don't have the covers. You know, everything's backed up because everyone's wanting to get these devices at this point. So I know Kevin's working feverishly to get the covers, because I think it's going to be important for us to get their devices to them as soon as we possibly can.
Would it make any sense to bring them in not earlier, but delay the upperclassmen a couple extra days to get the freshmen accustomed to everything without
Idea, right?
everyone in the school?
Well, we have that one day. I think if we make it 2 days, it's going to be difficult, because remember, everyone's going to have masks on, and the protocols are going to be different. Some parts of the building are very warm. You know, what Desi is talking about is possibly giving us 3 days of professional development as a part of our 180 days for our staff. So there's still so much planning that needs to happen. But yeah, we need to try to make the freshmen as comfortable as possible.
Maureen, so the kids stay in the classroom. Does that mean we're going to be, how are we going to be accessing food?
Still a part of the planning. I mean, there's talk about having the kids eat in the classroom, but
Yeah.
you can't eat in the classroom with a mask on and be 3 feet apart.
I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So setting up the cafeteria in a different way, looking at the fact that we are not going to have PE next year,
Yeah.
looking at ways we can use the gym, trying to get kids outside as much as possible. You know, we're going to have to really be creative, and those are some of the things that the task force is working on right now.
Anybody
Lisa-
mentioned the tent? To eat
Oh,
in
yeah.
the tent outside?
In the middle of the night, I thought about a tent over the tennis court.
Oh, good
Yeah.
idea.
But then don't forget about Triple E.
Oh, that's true.
Oh God, I know, every September.
Lisa, do you have a question?
Yeah, I have two of them. Is the school district required, or are we supplying the students with masks as well as staff with masks and gloves? And my
So we-
second question is, do all the superintendents, whether they're, you know, vocational, or you're just regional or whatever, do the superintendents discuss this? Is there any roundtables?
Yes. So yes to both. We're supposed to the kids are supposed to provide their own masks, but we are also supposed to have masks if they aren't able to supply their own. So Kara is busy working on making a very large order of masks at this point. As far as the North Shore Superintendent's Roundtable, yes, there's a very large group. And then we have also, as a small group, decided to get together kind of within the Whittier Regional District to start having conversations regionally about what makes sense. You know, it's a little bit easier for us. I mean, not easier just because we have a bigger school than most, but easier because our kids are in high school, that we're not looking at daycare issues that come along with going on the hybrid model. You know, the other districts, that's really the concern for the elementary school kids.
Charlie?
Is the task force working on procedures and policies if one of the students tests positive?
The task force is not. That is something that we're waiting for guidance from the state.
Okay.
The state is supposed to give us clear guidelines that if a student or a staff member tests positive for COVID-19, how we are to handle that.
David?
Maureen O'Cara, has the federal government established a grant yet for the PPEs? The last week they've been talking about funding. They know the expense is going to cost the school districts, and they talked about funding it. Have you heard anything about grants on that?
$225 per student. Is that the one you're talking about? We're just waiting for it to be issued. We did hear about it. It was in some of the updates that the superintendent and I get. But as far as I know, the grant has not yet been released.
Thank you.
In regard to the testing, I apologize if I've missed this. Is everybody going to be tested every day as they come in the building?
We have not heard that. We have not heard of any testing regulations that are going to happen.
How about temperature?
No,
No.
we're not taking students' temperatures
Okay.
because they felt like there was a lot of false positives and false negatives. So, I mean, we're still waiting on a lot of guidance from the state. We're still waiting on transportation guidance from the state. We're still waiting on a lot of guidance. And we have a meeting tomorrow with the commissioner. So he's been very open to having conversations with us. So we pretty much meet with him weekly.
Have we got to the MSBA item yet, Maureen?
Not yet.
Oh,
That's all I have for you tonight, as far as my report. That's enough, I think.
Wow.
Well, we have to vote on that, don't we?
yeah, there's something that says MSBA initial compliance certificate vote.
Right. So before you, I'll move on. So before you is the MSBA certificate of compliance. Kara and I are in the process of having many meetings, starting to begin the feasibility study or to begin the eligibility piece of the, so that we can eventually get into the feasibility. This is one of the things that we wanted to bring to your attention and get some feedback if you have any about moving forward. We want to be as transparent as possible. You know, Kara and I weren't sure whether you needed to have a vote on this, but we wanted to at least be as transparent with you as possible about moving forward with the MSBA project.
I
Move to approve the MSBA compliance certificate.
A second.
Second. All right. A roll call vote. Mr. Early,
Yes.
Ms. O'Connor,
Yes.
Mr. LaBella,
Yes.
Mr. Irving,
Aye.
Dr. Testaverde,
yes.
Mr. James,
Yes.
Mr. Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Ms. True,
Yes.
Ms. Osage.
Yes.
Okay, moving on.
you,
Principals
everyone.
report. Mr. Laganis.
Okay, good evening, Mr. Chairman, Superintendent Lynch, and the rest of the school committee. I just want to tell you for the last part of our successful graduation celebrations, the on-field graduation video is out there available if you haven't taken a look at it on YouTube. You know, we love seeing everybody that attended the in-person graduation. I want to thank Kevin Williams as well as Rich Sully for really moving that along. So check it out. I encourage you to look at that. Just a couple things we finished up on Thursday and Friday, June 18th to the 19th. We held the materials pickup and drop off from 9 to 12, both days for the rest of the student body. During this time, students returned their library books, equipment, and paid some outstanding balances. And during those days, we did not collect the iPads, obviously, because of the fluidity of this pandemic that we're in. We don't know if we're going to be here or there, so they have their iPads this summer, and we didn't collect those. The last day of the school remote instruction for students was on that Monday, June 22nd. Again, I just wanted to thank everybody for being great partners in this learning experience. Remote learning. I speak for all the administration saying that we are proud of the students, parents, and the staff. And I want to wish everybody a happy summer and hope to see you all in person, whatever that's going to be, and hybrid or whatever model that's going to be. As the summer moves on, the staff continues, like Superintendent Lynch said, to move forward with our remote learning, curriculum, professional development, virtual meetings. They're amazing. I know Maureen and myself have been jumping on those. Our own staff members are doing the training, which even makes it better for the PD. And as Maureen said, our school psychologist, Carolyn Romero, had an open discussion forum for Whittier staff members, which focused on the current protests and the impact that it's had potentially on our students, especially students of color. Students may need to talk about their experience of racism or what they're watching live on the news every day. The discussion focused on how these conversations, they arise and how to best support our students. And these open discussions forums will definitely continue, like Superintendent Lynch said. Virtual meetings with our administrators are continuing to happen on an ongoing basis. I believe we're at twice a week, Tuesday, Thursdays for the summer. And I just want to say congratulations once to the school committee, the staff, the students, parents, as we continue this fight. And thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for the principal? Business manager, Kara?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Superintendent Lynch, members of the committee. I have a couple of things for you this evening. The first is I have a transfer request in your packet. And basically this one, there'll be another one next month. This one will balance several accounts that won't be further expended as of when I ran the report last month. So I seek your approval of that transfer request.
Move to accept.
Okay,
Do we have a second?
I'll
second,
All right, roll call vote. Mr. Early,
Yes.
Ms. O'Connor,
Yes.
Mr. LaBella,
Yes.
Mr. Irving,
Aye.
Dr. Testaverde,
Yes.
Mr. James,
yes.
Mr. Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Mrs. True,
Yes.
Mr. Lesage.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. I also have a net metering agreement in your packet. You may recall that 2.5 years I brought one forward to you and you unanimously approved it. And it was for a company that had not yet begun construction on the project. Unfortunately, about a month after you approved it, the federal government stopped net metering projects for any new projects that had not yet been constructed or started construction. So unfortunately, we were not able to take advantage of that, but our energy consultant has been looking for one for us since then, because there are very few in the grid in which Whittier Tech is located. And he did find one. And so I'm requesting your approval to enter into a net metering agreement with a company called Haverhill AD1 LLC. It will authorize Whittier to purchase approximately 3,200,000 kilowatts of electricity credits from them every year for a period of 20 years. This company is located on Boston Road in Haverhill, so they're local. The project is constructed and is expected to begin generating electricity savings by the fall. The net metering agreement is expected to result in electricity savings to Whittier of approximately $80,000 to $120,000 per year and approximately $2 million in total over the 20-year life of the contract. We will have no upfront costs. The owner of the project is responsible for all of the expenses that are associated with the installation and upkeep. Our financial obligation is limited to paying basically the reduced kilowatt rate to the company for every energy credit that we earn on our bill. The meters get installed on our project. They feed directly to our utility account. We get the credits on our bill, and then we pay them for those credits when they invoice us for every energy credit we earned. As I said before, there are very few net metering agreements available in our electricity grill. This vote will allow us to take advantage of an opportunity to save a significant amount of money on our electricity bills for the next 20 years. Do you have any questions?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Early.
Yeah. Kara, is that on Boxford Road? Is that Mike Harrington?
I don't know who it is. I'm not sure who it is. I just know it under the company name.
Is that Boxford Road, B-O-X?
I
Boston,
think
no,
Boston.
Boston Road. I'm sorry, Boston. No.
Boston Road.
I'm trying to remember where Boston Road is.
Boston Road behind Tilton, I think. I don't think it's there. I think it's Boxford Road. It's my neighbor, and I'm gonna have to abstain if it is,
Okay.
because he's in that program. He installs it.
And do we send this to the attorney to look over?
We had the Attorney Long look over the last one. This one's very similar to it.
We haven't sent this one to the attorney.
This one is essentially, the city of Haverhill has 2 agreements with this company. So the contract that they sent me had already been vetted by the city of Haverhill attorneys. So I didn't see.
The city of Haverhill is 20 years?
Yep, they're all 20 years. If you remember me discussing this with you the last time, they're all 20 years.
There's nothing in here, if the company goes bankrupt, what happens?
Nothing, we're not on the hook. We don't earn any credits and we don't owe them any money.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Yeah. The law has changed. I'm sorry. The law has changed on a lot of that stuff right now. I think you should get some updated information. I read a lot of that stuff in the paper, and the laws have changed on all that stuff. All that type of energy stuff. So I would recommend, and I'm not going to vote because I believe it's the same company. I don't have anything against anybody on it, but I think things are different now than they were 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Kara, why don't we have it reviewed by Long and DePietro again, and we'll bring it back to the school committee at the August meeting.
Is everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with it. I just know that things have changed in that field in the last 6 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a history question.
Mhm.
When we did this before,
Mhm.
and we've been using this program, do you have any?
We never did.
We didn't do it.
No, it never got off the ground. They were not in the, they hadn't started construction. And federal government stopped all of these programs before they started construction, so it never got off the ground.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
one is actually built and is going to start generating energy in 2 months, I think they said.
Okay.
Kara, is there any deadline on this for us?
I think that he's got them out there to sell. The thing is, if we don't accept it, it could go to somebody else. So they didn't say there was a deadline. I can, if you give me a second.
There's only so much they can sell, though. Is that how it works?
Right. They have so many.
They've only got so much to sell.
Yeah, they've already sold to Haverhill Wastewater and Haverhill Water Department, which is why I did not have our attorney look over it, because their legal counsel had, and I didn't want to double spend the money, but I can certainly do that.
This is a tricky field. 20 years is, I mean, I'm reading about solar trees.
It's not solar. It's not solar.
What is it?
It is anaerobic digestion. Let me.
Live critters here?
Might as well drink bleach with that.
It is, I think it has to do with waste products being,
That doesn't have a chance in hell. Anyway.
Mr. Chairman.
Energy being extracted from waste. Yes. Yeah, I know. My husband lectures me on this all the time.
Yeah, so it's
Mr.
not.
Early?
Yeah. My neighbor is in solar, so if this isn't in solar, and the city of Haverhill, my opinion, city of Haverhill already looked at the legal part, I don't see it being much of a gamble. But I
No,
thought this was part of the solar.
no, it's not solar.
All right.
Do we have any literature on this?
Food waste and cow manure mixed together create a methane gas. The tank traps methane and burns it into electricity.
Oh, wow.
Oh, no, this is, excuse me, this is the Davidowitz project up there on Boston Road.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna abstain on it, but I don't see it being a problem, because that project up there that he's doing, that is pretty successful. I will say that. If it's and I know that's the one. That's the only one on Boston Road.
So there's nothing for us to lose here.
Not that I'm aware of.
We voted pending the attorney's response. Can we vote on it pending his response or her response?
Oh, we could do that, sure.
Why don't we do that?
What?
I make a motion to accept that right now.
Second.
I couldn't hear the motion. Sorry, can you repeat it?
David, do you want to?
The motion is to improve Kara's request pending the attorney's response. In the affirmative.
Yeah, okay, as long as it doesn't cost us $20,000, you know.
Yeah. All right. So we'll vote on that amended motion then. That David motioned, and do we have a second on that?
Can we second? Can she repeat the motion, please?
Lisa, do you have that motion?
I have a motion to accept the net metering agreement pending the attorney's response in the affirmative.
Right.
Okay. All right, roll call vote. Mr. Early? Oh,
Sorry.
I'm
gonna
sorry,
abstain.
Joe.
I mean, then we do not have until the meeting in August. What that means if we go, then we just,
And it keeps freezing.
sorry.
We didn't get
Sorry,
any of that. We didn't get any of that. You,
Sorry, I just want to make sure. So this, so I just want to make sure that this motion basically also it allows it to be approved pending the lawyer, but not having anything to do with the next meeting. In other words, once the lawyer approves, then Kara is free to go ahead.
Administration should be able to go ahead on our vote.
Thank you. I just need that clarification. Sorry.
okay. Mr. Early?
I'm gonna abstain.
Okay. Ms. O'Connor?
Yes.
Mr. LaBella?
Yes.
Mr. Irving?
Aye.
Dr. Testaverde?
Yes.
Mr. James?
Yes.
Mr. Fitzgerald?
Yes.
Mrs. True?
Yes.
Mr. Lesage?
Yes.
Okay. Is that everything, Kara?
Yeah,
That you have?
that's it. I'll get on that tomorrow. I'll report back to you at the next meeting, and I hope you all have a great summer.
Okay, thanks.
Too.
Committee chairperson. The August agenda items are for next month, the school committee review of the school improvement plan. And we want to select delegates to the MASC, MASS conference.
Is that still on?
My understanding is that conference has been canceled.
It
I
has,
don't know what they're going to do with the delegate piece of it, but
do we,
They may have a meeting out in Marlboro or something.
when is that meeting?
It was in November.
First week in November.
First week in November.
All right, so we still have time then if we need to do it, get a delegate. Do you want to do it
Yeah.
that way?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Subcommittee reports. Executive has not met. I do not know if we need a meeting, Maureen.
as of right now, no.
Okay. Instructional personnel, Dr. Testaverde.
We haven't met, and we were talking about maybe in the end of September after school gets started. Maureen, is that still what you think is a good time frame?
Yes, but no. I mean, I think our instructional will be very different in September than how we had planned, even
Okay.
in July. But certainly that's up to you. If you want to meet in September, we can certainly go over what plan is in place and what we're doing. So,
I think that might be wise.
okay. I think so too.
I
Okay.
agree.
We can set the date next month after you have a better idea of how things are
Okay.
looking. How's that?
Great.
Maureen, you had mentioned an executive subcommittee prior to opening a school. You think we don't need one in August or something? Just an
Probably
update
wouldn't
on what
be.
you-
It's up to you. It probably wouldn't be a bad idea. I mean, I feel like the more information I can give you about how things are moving forward. I mean, it changes every week. I feel like we could meet every week and it will be different. But you know, it certainly wouldn't be a bad idea to have an executive maybe the first week of August. So at least I can tell the executive committee about what plan is definitely in place. I
Okay.
think that would make sense.
So do you want to do that before the next meeting, prior to the meeting, or?
Yeah, I would like, because I really think it's important that I get information out, but I'd like some school committee approval before I do. So if we could have the executive approve the initial plan, so I can start sending that out to staff members the first week of August or the last week of July, that would be great.
So do you want to do something meet the last week of August, July, third week of July?
How about Wednesday, the 29th?
Okay,
We could do a
Mind your
6:30.
What time?
A 6:30 again?
You want to
Yeah,
do a night meeting?
right.
Okay.
okay, so executive meeting on the 29th at 6:30,
Great.
okay?
Thank you.
Let's move, plant operations, Mr. Tucker's not here. Is there any?
How's the track?
Yeah.
There's a
track
lot
all
going
good?
on in plant. I don't know if we'll have track this year.
Yeah, but is it done?
We're working on it. We're supposed to be getting a date from them still. They've been lagging on the date. But as far as the plant goes, I think that would be a meeting that we should probably have before our next school committee, so you can hear how we're going to open up our school building safely and what sanitation kinds of things we have in place for next year. So I think Bob Hardy should attend that meeting so you can see all the hard work he's been doing, and he can give you a brief report about what he's doing. So
You want to do
that?
that on the same night as the executive, or?
We can, if you'd like to do it that, or we can do it right before the next school committee meeting. It's really up to
Okay.
you guys.
Yeah, all right, we could do that. They'll give you a little more time and get closer.
Okay.
So we'll do that at 6 o'clock
Okay.
on the 12th.
Maureen, do you think other people could join that meeting?
Such as?
Someone just to sort of represent the school committee? Because we haven't seen Paul in a while.
Yeah, it's a school committee subcommittee meeting. So yes,
Okay.
anyone, Paul may not be there, but the rest of the members of the
Okay.
committee would be on.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then anybody else is welcome, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's good to know.
What's that date? The 12th?
The 12th, 6 o'clock.
So Lisa would send out the Zoom information for starting the meetings at 6 versus 6:30 for anybody who wanted to join plant operations as well.
Yeah.
Correct?
Right.
Okay.
Good. Yeah, that's a good idea, John.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that ultimately was my point.
Well, you have to have a PhD to figure it out.
Okay. Salary and negotiations, Mr. Early.
Nothing going on at this time.
Yeah, I don't think we can have a negotiations meeting until we get our Chapter 70 funding in place. So
That's your
once
answer.
we get that in place, we should have a meeting.
That could be a while.
Yeah.
I got a retro question.
Yeah.
You said in the minutes that you got a well.
Charlie.
We can't hear you, Charlie.
Looks like Charlie's frozen.
Waiting for him to unfreeze.
Far about.
Did try to stop his video to help him, but he may have actually disconnected.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
all right.
Well, I guess I'll answer his question later.
When he comes back, you can answer it, Maureen.
Okay.
Let's move on to policy. Mr. Irving.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I move for the second reading and final reading of the following: IJOA field trips, JFABD homeless students' rights, JFABE military students' rights, JFABF foster care student rights, JHB exclusion exemption from attending school, and JRD student photographs. Move those for second and final reading.
Second.
Any questions? Okay, we'll do a roll call vote.
You
Mr.
hear me
Earl?
now?
Yeah, Charlie,
Okay.
Yep.
No.
we're gonna, Charlie, you there?
Yeah.
All right,
My
we're doing,
connection says it's unstable.
well, we're doing a roll call vote on the policy, and then we'll come back to your question, okay?
Okay.
All right. Mr. Early,
Yes.
Ms. O'Connor,
Yes.
Mr. LaBella,
Yes.
Mr. Irving,
Aye.
Dr. Testaverde,
Yes.
Mr. James,
Yes.
Mr. Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Mrs. True,
Yes.
Ms. Osage.
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Now,
Thank you.
Charlie, you want to come
Yeah.
back to that question?
It said in the school committee that you get a 112 budget you're submitting. Maureen?
We did submit it, but because we have a past budget, we don't have to do the 112 budget.
We don't. Okay. All right. Okay, thank you.
All right. Meeting dates, the regular school committee meeting will be August 12th at 6:30, and we also have the executive on July 29th at 6:30. We have the plan ops on August 12th at 6 o'clock. Is that right, Lisa?
Yes.
Did I get all that? Okay. No new business, no executive session.
Chairman, move to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All right. Roll call vote. Mr. Early,
Yes.
Ms. O'Connor,
Yes.
Mr. LaBella,
Yes.
Mr. Irving,
Aye.
Dr. Testaverde,
Yes.
Mr. James,
Yes.
Mr. Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Ms. True,
Yes.
Mr. Lesage.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, everybody.